We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Step right up, got tickets on sale. In today's episode, trains coming off the rails. Watch it all burn from the screen on your phone. But don't you worry about it, you're safe at home. Every talking head will tell you everything's fine. It's the blind leading the blind. Yeah, it's a circus out here, we're wobbling on a wire. There's a lady with a beard, clowns juggling fire. Elephants and donkeys got us jumping through hoops. Y'all wish that I was lying, but you know that is the truth. Get your popcorn ready and pour you something strong. If the world's still spinning, the shit show goes on. The world's strongest man just dropped the ball, and the tent's caving in from the weight of it all. Yeah, the lion's at the cage, puppets in a rage, and the ringleader's on parade. It's a circus out here, we're wobbling on a wire. There's a lady with a beard, clowns juggling fire. Elephants and donkeys got us jumping through hoops. Y'all wish that I was lying, but you know that is the truth. Get your popcorn ready and pour you something strong. If the world's still spinning, the shit show goes on.
Come on! Witness the greatest show on earth. Enjoy the flames. Do not panic. Everything's fine.
It's a circus out here, we're wobbling on a wire. There's a lady with a beard, clowns juggling fire. Elephants and donkeys got us jumping through hoops. Y'all wish that I was lying, but you know that is the truth. Get your popcorn ready and pour you something strong. If the world's still spinning, the shit show goes on.
Everything's fine.
I quit.
House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome. It's Mike Covert here. And no, I am not going through the second version of puberty with my voice. I have yet again got something. I don't know, but you're here on the Big Patriot Radio Network. We're glad to have you. And this is the Beaufort County's House of Cards. No matter what you're listening on, through, or with, we're glad to have you here. little bit of technical difficulty getting that one video off, but no harm, no foul. Man, have we got a show for you. Been working on this for some time now, and we got a lot of stuff. Breaking news came across today like 3 times. Had to make some changes. Want to appreciate those folks that help us out getting news in and out and so forth. And hey, we want to hear from you tonight. We have a big show. We have 2 guests coming on. We have both mayoral candidates for the town of Port Royal. Kevin Phillips, current town councilman, will be here shortly. And after some time after that, current mayor and candidate again, Joe Devito will be here with us. So tonight we're going to have Port Royal's candidates on. A lot of cool stuff. We want to hear from you tonight. I know there's a lot of folks already from Port Royal in the city of Beaufort on the channel already, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. We're glad to have you here. Don't forget you can leave your comments in whatever section, whatever platform you're on. You can leave those comments. Please, nothing about my voice. And we'll get those on as we go along. And especially for the candidates, if you've got questions for them, make sure you leave them a note or whatever. Consider a Patreon membership. If you are not a member of the Beaufort patreon.com/Beaufort County's House of Cards. If you're not a member of that on Patreon, consider that if you would. We have should be coming across the bottom of your screen. Yeah, there it is. There's how you can get to either the tip jar or the Patreon membership. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever. All that goes to keeping journalism, independent journalism and news sources alive and well, and all the gears greased and motivated. And we certainly appreciate that. Packed and loaded show for you tonight, so let's get right to it. Don't forget, we have other podcasts on Big Patriot Radio. That's bigpatriotradio.com. Goodness, I'm glad I'm not live tonight over there. Monday nights is New America Movement at 7 o'clock, and then a 9 o'clock encore show. That's New America Movement. Monday nights at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Tuesday nights, it's the Overton Report with Corey Allen at 7 o'clock and an encore at 8 p.m. Thursdays, except for tonight, most Thursdays, we have a repeat of the Beaufort County's House of Cards at 7 o'clock on Big Patriot Radio. Sundays is Culture Crossroads with Andrew Southwick at 7 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock on Sunday is the Freedom Hour with Frank Friedenauer. It does sound like I'm going through puberty. Well, I could say a lot about that, but I'm not. Frank Friedenauer. He's at 8 o'clock on Sunday nights. Are you a budding podcaster? If you are, and you want a platform to get your podcast out onto the airwaves, contact us. Give us an email. It's bigpatriotradio@gmail.com. You can call us 843-305-0600. Hook us up, or hit us up rather, on social media. We'll be glad to get you on our station. And don't worry, we don't bite. So don't listen to what all the detractors say. We don't bite. It doesn't hurt. Last week on Big Patriot Radio, the #1 most requested song looks like it was Bad Boys Running Wild by Scorpion. That was back in, I believe, the 80s or the 90s. And the #1 most listened city during the week was the city of Beaufort. That's Beaufort and Port Royal and the Sea Islands. So thank you to those folks over there coming in as #1 listening area last week. A lot of stuff, again, we've got going on. Before we get to all of that, let's go ahead and switch gears here. Going to take another drink, get me a cough drop, and you can listen to your 5-minute news.
This is VOA News. I'm Scott Walterman. Explosions in Gaza on Thursday night as fighting continues between Israel and Hamas. Hamas is a U.S. designated terrorist organization. It comes as United Nations experts on Thursday called for a humanitarian ceasefire, saying that Palestinian people in Gaza are at, quote, a grave risk of genocide. Here's Reuters correspondent Matthew Laratonda.
In southern Gaza, where Israel ordered people to flee from the north, airstrikes and artillery shelling is making what is already a hellscape that much worse, with growing health risks like raw sewage spreading disease. This young girl is saying she has a headache and her stomach hurts. Her mother is sick from drinking polluted water. Israel has blocked off all power and fuel supply to Gaza and has allowed in only a trickle of food and medicine as it presses its siege.
Reuters correspondent Matthew Laratonda, who says on Thursday, Israel's military said it was talking to medical agencies about setting up field hospitals for civilians in southern Gaza, first for the wounded and then for specialized care. An armed drone was shot down on Thursday over Harir military base hosting U.S. forces in northern Iraq. This is according to two security sources who told Reuters it was not clear if the foiled attack caused any damage or casualties yet. Federal agents raided the home of a top fundraiser and longtime confidant for New York City Mayor Eric Adams. This is VOA News. Thousands of people swamped Pakistan's main northwestern border crossing, trying to cross into Afghanistan on Thursday, a day after Reuters correspondent Freddie Joyner says was the Pakistan government's deadline for undocumented foreigners to leave.
Pakistani authorities began rounding up undocumented foreigners hours before the deadline.
We don't want to go to Afghanistan, but these people are not allowing us to stay. My family has been living here for 50 years, but now they are not allowing them to stay.
These people are being very cruel to us. If they'd given us 4 or 5 months more, we could have spent the winter here in comfort. Then, God willing, we would have gone back to our country.
More than 1 million Afghans could have to leave or face arrest and forcible expulsion as a result of the ultimatum delivered by the Pakistan government a month ago.
Reuters correspondent Freddie Joyner, who says more than 4 million Afghans living in Pakistan, the government there estimates 1.7 million are undocumented. Kenyan women and girls are facing a form of online blackmail called sextortion. This occurs when perpetrators threaten to share nude or sexual images or videos of the victim with her friends or family members unless she pays them or gives in to other demands. In the following report, Frances Otamwa talks to some of the victims about their ordeal.
Discovering that the person she could trust had betrayed her by sharing her intimate photos online was devastating for Jamila, not her real name. Her former partner had amassed enough explicit images of her to destroy her reputation. Private images secretly taken during a video call. Telegram's terms of service asks users to agree not to post illegal pornographic content on publicly viewable Telegram channels and bots. But still, users put the platform's content moderation systems to the test. Francis Ontomwa, VOA News, Nairobi, Kenya.
A former gang member who had long boasted of his involvement in the murder of rap legend Tupac Shakur a quarter of a century ago, 25 years ago, pleaded not guilty in a U.S. court on Thursday. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was charged with back in September over the killing, despite not being the man wielding the weapon in the gang feud in Las Vegas. The 60-year-old Davis, a former member of Compton's Southside Crips gang, has long acknowledged his involvement in the slaying, boasting he was the on-site commander. In Washington, I'm Scott Walterman.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
All right, and we're back. Now, I had hoped for a debate this week between all the candidates for town council in Bluffton, but only one, Tim Wood, was the one. He was the only one that replied and said he would do it. No one else did, so we kind of bagged that idea. More on that later. We're going to bring on our first guest. He should be coming on here shortly. But before I do that, I do have a bone to pick. I found out earlier today, well, it was earlier this evening, later today, that a local sports journalist, and I hesitate to call him a journalist because he reports on his feelings. He reports on his ideologies, not the news. But anyway, this guy came out with a hit piece. He came out with a hit piece on both Tim Wood and Joe Castagnino. Tim Wood is running for council in Town of Bluffton. Joe Castagnino is running for mayor in Town of Bluffton. This sports journalist, he is a bootlicker, is claiming some dangerous things against both of these men. True or not, accurate or not, the attacks are quite sophomoric. They're juvenile, and they are potentially libel and slanderous. And this fellow, this sports journalist, I'm not going to use his full name. Let's just call him, let's pick a name. Let's just call him Justin. Justin should be extremely, extremely careful in what he does. And to be quite honest, he probably should take down those social media posts where he has potentially libeled and slandered these two gentlemen. And he might want to take some free advice and go talk to an attorney really, really fast, to be quite honest with you, before putting them back up, should he so decide to do this. You see, this kind of, we'll just call it bullshit, because that's what it is. It's not needed in politics, and it's not needed in campaigning. This type of zealot in his latest musing comes out. I'll tell you what this is all about. And he says that he recommends that you support Bridget Frazier, Dan Wood, and Larry Toomer with your vote, and that's fine. But again, he made some pretty damning, or said some pretty damning things to and about and of Tim Wood and Joe Castagnino. Again, true or not, accurate or not, you don't do this, especially when it is potentially libel and slanderous. My question to the three of those candidates, and we've had two of the three of them on here. The third one, Frazier, she has completely ignored this outlet. My question to them, and I hope they're listening. I'm sure that some of their campaigns are listening and watching. So my question to you is, do you support the kind of hit piece? And that's what this is. It's what we call a hit piece. Do you support this kind of hit piece being put out there by, again, let's just call him for kicks and giggles, Justin, on your behalf? I talked to somebody today and they said, well, they're going to say, well, we didn't have anything to do. Well, I know you didn't have anything to do with it. No one has said you did. Listen to the question. The question is, do you, the three that this so-called journalist has recommended that people vote for you, whether they should or not, that's not the point. Do you, and I'll call them out, Bridget Frazier, Dan Wood, Larry Toomer, do you support this kind of hit piece being put out there in the public against your fellow candidates in Tim Wood and Joe Castagnino? Do you? Do you or not? That's really all I'm looking for. Do you or not approve and condone this type of behavior. If you do, and I please get this message to them, and I hope my fellow voters agree with this. If you condone that type of hit piece, there's no way on God's green earth I could ever, or would I ever, support any of you, period. And that goes for anyone else who is running for office that believes in a hit piece. Now, a hit piece is not talking trash. Talking trash, and that's part of it. Okay, that's part of it. A hit piece is a piece that is attempted to damn someone. Voters deserve to know, do you condone this? Period. Point blank. We need to know. We have a right to know. I have spoken with both of these two candidates, Tim Wood and Joe Castignino, earlier. I'm sure they're very upset. I know they're very upset. They're very concerned. I think this was uncalled for. Again, if I was this guy, this so-called half-ass journalist, and that's what he is. He's a half-ass. I would take it down pretty damn quick, and I would be calling a lawyer to make sure that my ass was not about to get sued for libel and slander. Ivy, hey Ivy, glad to see you here. Where's it posted? His personal page? Well, this particular gentleman, and I'm not going to give credence to any of his writings, even though I did bring it up, because he's blocked me a long time ago. We do not. I mean, we don't see eye to eye that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. That's how different we are. Be that as it may, I'm just going to leave it at that. If I know after tonight's show, I spoke with Tim Wood just a little while ago. Excuse me, Tim Wood is possibly going to be doing his own Facebook Live. It's nothing to do with me or this show. That's his own thing. He may address that. If he wants to call this guy out on his own, that's his business. I spoke to Joe. I don't know that he'll do anything, because sometimes it's better to do nothing and, let, what's the old saying? How does it go? It's better to be quiet and wonder if you're a fool than open your mouth and people realize. I don't know if that's the right saying with this, but sometimes maybe that's the better road to take. I will say, with what Justin has said about and towards Joe Castignino, and I asked him about this, and he was forthcoming about it. This fellow has really gone over the edge. So anyway, I want to bring that out there because if any of you, and I'm sure there are some here who know who I'm talking about, and that's fine. You can ask either one of them, and if they want to tell you, that's great. I don't think this guy's worth the water that can be put into a 1-gallon bucket. But I wish him well. And we'll just call him Justin. And wish you well there, fine sir. All right, we're waiting on our first guest to come in. This is the first guest who has not been early. Amazing. It took a full year to get a guest that was not early. This guy is punctual. I'm not going to give him a hard time about it. I believe Kevin Phillips is going to be our first guest. So, Kevin, if you're out there, you're more than welcome to come on into the green room. We've got, since you're a sitting politician, and for all of you politicians out there, or budding politicians, remember, you don't drink in public. That's free. Free advice tonight. You're not paying extra for that. That was free. If you want to get into politics, never let them see you take a drink of alcohol in public. That's free advice. And if you see a politician drinking alcohol in public, well, what do you do? I don't know. It's just, I was told that years ago when I got into the game. They were like, look, no matter how bad, you may want a cold one or a nice glass of vino or whatever. Never, ever do it. So you heard that here first. Just keep your eye out. If you see a politician with a drink in their hand, they did not listen to the rules of the road. Let's see what else we got up here real quick while we're waiting on our guests to arrive. Some other things we're going to talk about tonight. And again, we have both candidates for the town of Port Royal. Port Royal used to be a huge city on the coast that was in commerce and shipping and that scenery changed, and then it became the host of Paris Island, where we're on the East Coast. We make Marines and have for decades. The city has changed, and it's ever changing, and it's changing again. And we're going to talk to both of these candidates tonight, assuming they'll both be here. We're also going to talk about, we have a final thing to talk about. I guess you could call it a final thing, the final note. About one of the candidates for council in the town of Bluffton, who has, we're going to call it allegedly, even though we've got this on paperwork, allegedly taking public monies, tax monies, and there are guesses. He has just pulled into the green room, going to get him refreshed with some brownies and cookies, and he's a fit young man, so we're going to get him some cucumbers and stuff like that and some water. So Kevin's going to get relaxed back there in the green room, and we'll bring him out here in a second. But anyway, we're also going to talk to, like I said, the other candidate for mayor in the town of Port Royal. We're going to talk about Councilwoman Frazier in the town of Bluffton, who has, again, we'll say allegedly, yet we have it on video, we have it in paperwork. She's taking public tax money for personal use. Okay, says she's going to use it on a 501c3 museum, except the application actually says her restaurant's name. Anyway, we're going to talk about that later on. We're going to also dive into something that happened up in Charleston. A mom was at a school board meeting giving her public comment, and we had this on last week, and she may show up tonight. She's been verbally accosted, if you will, and there have been some threats made against her, so she's a little timid. We're going to give that information back out again because it's very important. We're going to talk about that later on. We are also going to we're going to give you breaking news that happened today about a Beaufort County public school teacher who has been arrested. Yes, she's been arrested. Oh, I said she. I wanted to keep you on the land. We're not going to tell you what she was arrested for yet, because it started out as questions, and she ended up trying to whip 5 cops' ass. Mistake number 1. And ended up with some pictures that she probably shouldn't have had. We'll tell you all about that. We're also going to tell you about this coming week's election special. That's all coming up tonight right here. But again, we've got our first guest in the green room. Let's go ahead and bring him on. He's currently councilman, councilman for the residents of the town of Port Royal. Please join me in welcoming to the scene, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Phillips. Kevin, how are you?
Good, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can. I apologize for, I know I have a sexy, deep voice, but it's going to crackle here in a minute, and it sounds like I'm going through puberty again. But hey, it's not about me; it's about you, man. It's so glad to see you, bud. How you been?
Good, man. It's good to see you. It's been a while, man. You look good, dude.
Well, hey, we're hanging in there. You got, since we really talked last, I guess you got married. How's the married life going?
It's going good. We actually, it's a really cool story. We had a surprise wedding. So we invited everybody over to our house in Port Royal. We were on 12th Street. we told them it was an engagement party. So everybody just came over. We had an oyster roast. Like I said, it was at our house. And then right in the middle of it, I went inside, changed, and put on a suit. And I came out and I said, it's such a beautiful day and everybody that we love's here. So if it's okay with y'all, we're just going to go ahead and get married right now. And everybody freaked out. Mom started crying. Everybody just caught them all off guard. And then I was like, all we need now is Jenny. And then Jenny walked out of the house in her dress and we just got married right there in front of everybody at our engagement party / surprise wedding. So
cool.
Yeah,
That is really cool.
it was fun, man. Yeah, it was fun. Seeing everybody's reaction was great. I'll never forget that.
That is awesome. That's what it's all about.
Well, it's going good, and we're actually having our first baby in January. So
Hey, there you go, man. Awesome. That is fantastic.
yeah,
Boy, girl, do you know yet?
we're not finding out. Gonna, just we'll find out when everybody else does. Can't do anything about it. So we're just
That's one way to look at it. That's very
Yep.
true. Kevin, again, I appreciate you being on here. The listeners appreciate you being on here. I don't know if you've ever watched the show or not. We have usually during the night, we'll have upwards close to 100 people in and out. But I tell you, these are always stored, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Over the next week, there's probably going to be 500 to 600 views. So you guys are getting out there through this medium, and we're glad to have you. Why don't you tell everybody? And I can tell by my calculators or my tabulator, there's a lot of folks in Port Royal watching right now.
good.
Tell everybody that may not know about you, who is Kevin Phillips, a little bit about your background and your time on council. Tell us about you.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's good to see you, Mike. Like I said, it's been a while. I have watched the show a couple of times, so I understand it. Let me ask you real quick, what's the segment? How long are we going? Just so I can keep an eye on.
We'll go 15, 20 minutes, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
I got you.
It's real easy.
Well,
It's easy.
Okay. So, well, my name is Kevin Phillips. I've been on Port Royal Town Council for the last 4 years. I'm originally from Snellville, Georgia. It's up in the northeast part of Georgia. Went to the College of Charleston School of Law, and spent about 8 years in Charleston. That was really my introduction to the Low Country. And I was really lucky when I was there. I had a friend that would bring me to Beaufort. They were from the area, so on weekends bring me down. And that was my introduction to Beaufort. It was really just by chance. You hear that story by a lot of people. Came down to Beaufort and Port Royal area, and I joke and say I had what I call my Pat Conroy moment, and just fell in love with the culture, the people, the environment, the water. And I remember my mom was like, she was like, "So when are you coming home?" And I was like, "I think I found home." And so when I graduated college, I made the decision. I said, I'm moving there. So I just came here. I was like, I didn't have a job lined up, family, friends, no connections. I'm just going to go there and build a life and get started. And here we are 4 years later. I've been on council, married, met my wife. She's a lifelong resident of the area, grew up on Battery Creek Road. Her mom still lives right down the street from us now. And so we, met her in the Leadership Beaufort program. As soon as I got to the area, I've always been the kind of guy I grew up always trying to give back, and service has always been really important with how I was raised. My parents are very involved in our communities, in our community back home. Nothing political, but my dad's always coached all the little league games. On the PTA board. My mom does women's Bible study every week at our house. I mean, they're just always involved in those kind of people that, they just, and in the community, giving back, trying to make it a better place. So, I grew up in that world, and, kind of carried that on. So as soon as I got to Port Royal, I did the Leadership Beaufort program, which was great. I recommend that to anybody that really wants to kind of maybe get involved and learn more about the area. Leadership Beaufort is run through the Chamber of Commerce. That is actually where I met my wife. We met in the Leadership Beaufort class. From there, I just started started joining other boards. I'm a local attorney, worked for Schiller and Hamilton Law Firm, which is, we're a personal injury firm. So we represent people. We represent little guys. Sometimes, it's little stuff. Sometimes it's life threatening, so we represent the, working people and families. I've joined on the board of the YMCA. That's actually where I met my boss, Bennett Schiller, on the board of Help of Beaufort. Like I said, ran for council 4 years ago. It's been going really good. And here we are now, 4 years later, running for mayor of Port Royal. So I hope that fills you in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you've served the citizens of Port Royal 4 years now. What is it? Why is it that drives you to want to continue to represent the people of Port Royal, yet in a much tougher job? I guess I could say I've never been mayor, but as a much tougher job as mayor of Port Royal rather than just councilman.
No, absolutely. So, well, one, actually really enjoy it. It's a very rewarding thing to do when I've been on council, and even you get to help. That's what I love about the local governments. It's really hands on. I mean, your district's not a state or a congressional district where it's hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, you can touch everybody's, you can shake everybody's hand in the district. You can know everybody, and when they have a problem or an issue, no matter how small it is, even if it's something. I remember it when I won my election, the very first phone call I got the next day was from a lady that lived downtown, and she had a question about her trash can. And so that was my first call.
That's the best. That's the best.
And the thing is, I really enjoy it. You're able to help her out and, lighten that load a little bit, make her life a little bit better. And, that those things add up. And I think that, the more that we can all do that, the better off the world can be. One of the reasons, people ask me that, why are you running now? Why running for council? And like I said, I'm running for mayor. And like I said in our forum, we had a public forum a couple weeks back. This is nothing personal. I look at this as a job interview. And, the people, I believe in this thing that we live in called a representative democracy. And I think, I like when people have choices between candidates, have options. They have people putting out different ideas, different visions, and they can really have a choice of their leadership. One of the things for the past 4 years, and I heard from so many people, and that was one of the driving factors, and people asking me to run too. Because I am so involved in the community and in the community all the time, that, and you see this at all levels of government, that like people just don't feel like they're heard. Like, I don't care if it's the county level, I don't care if it's the national level. And it's like, what is going on? I mean, the whole point of this is to have representatives. People represent you and represent your values, your ideas. That's the whole point of this democratic experiment that we're in.
Right.
And so every time I talk to people and they're like, we don't feel like anybody listens to us. And even when we do speak up, we don't think anybody changes, nothing changes. And so people are just frustrated. And, you see that at all levels. So I wanted to kind of step in and be that voice for people and say, hey, I'm here. I'm in the community every day. When I ran 4 years ago, my motto was active and engaged leadership. And I spent the past 4 years, living up to that. I took that very serious. And over 4 years, I've never missed a council meeting, a public workshop, a executive session. I attend council meetings for the city of Beaufort County. If there's things on the agendas that affect Port Royal, any event in Port Royal I'm at. And so I really think, to represent people, you got to know people. I've spent the time over the last 4 years getting to know as many people as I possibly can in the community. A lot of them encouraged me. They've said, to run. And so after a lot of consideration, I was like, again, I wanted to give people a choice, give people, some difference in visions, and step out there and throw your hat in the ring and, and see what happens. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me turn things just a little bit. When you talk about and you think about Port Royal, two questions come to mind. The first one is, what is right about Port Royal?
Well, one, it's absolutely gorgeous, and but I didn't have anything to do with that. I can't make live oak trees and beautiful marshlands. That's above my pay grade. But one, it's absolutely gorgeous. But really, seriously, it's the community. It's one of those places that still has that feel where people know each other. They look out for each other. They walk the streets, they ride the bikes around, they take care of each other. And I think that's something that you see missing more and more in our modern fast-paced kind of world, I guess. Is that community connection. I love when you drive around Port Royal and you see that, the kids playing outside and playing with each other. And, and families out there having a good time at the parks. And like I said, everybody really is neighborly and friendly and knows each other and looks out for each other. We have great community events. So that's what's right, is that culture of community and taking care and looking out for each other.
In the same breath, when you ask that, you have to ask, what is wrong with or about Port Royal?
So one of the reasons I ran is because of the fear of losing that and some of that. I think that we've really got to start having conversations about the rapid growth and overdevelopment that we're seeing, and not just in Port Royal, but in the regions. That's what I hear most from people is, looking at the numbers. Port Royal from 2010 to 2020 grew 33% the population, 33% in 10 years. Then from 2020 to 2022 grew another 10%, 9.9%. Those are rapid growth. That is fast. And we are in a threat of losing some of that community, that environment, that culture. And I think that people should have a say in their local town about, what it looks like and what's around them, and they should be involved. And so, we've got, in Port Royal, we've got a ton of apartment complexes, storage units, a lot of kind of development and growth that I think we need to seriously look at and go through our planning codes and figure out what's working, what's not working. Where do we want to preserve and save land? Where do we want to conserve? Where do we want to growth? What kind of growth do we want? And start having those questions. We're in a very unique position. It's not like, I go to some of these, Municipal Association of South Carolina events around the state, and you meet all these other municipalities, mayors and councils from around the state. And some of them are in bad situations. I mean, some of them, people are leaving and they're having questions about, how do we get people here?
Yeah.
We do not have that problem. We've got people lined up that want to move here, that want to develop here, that want to build here. So we need to take that opportunity. And it's not like we're, a long time ago, I think those conversations were, come build. We need it. We don't have anything going on. But we've won. We have won in the demand section of the supply and demand graph. So now at that point, I think that really gives us a luxury as a municipality to say, well, okay, now let's start talking about what kind of growth do we want? What are we doing right? And like you said, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Let's look at the past 10, 20 years and see what we've done right and what we've done wrong, and see if we can't, work on some things to do better and really kind of build the town that the town that we want and that we'd be proud of going forward.
So since obviously growth is a concern for you and for the people of Port Royal, Port Royal happens to have one of the most sought after, and we were saying this when I was on county council and even beforehand. Port Royal has one of the most sought after pieces of real estate, and that is your waterfront, but part of development. So when you think about that, and you think about what you already have on the books, when you look forward and you look into the Kevin Phillips crystal ball of 5 years down the road, what do you see Port Royal looking like in 5 years?
So I really want to focus on, and I came out and wrote an op-ed article in the Island News talking about potentially doing a one year moratorium on large scale developments, apartment complexes, large commercial units where they come in and just clear cut and just say, we don't want any of that. So, and then we need to sit back and we need to look and figure out ways. I think you can agree, everybody in Port Royal would agree that we really don't want probably any chain restaurants, down in the village. We're a very local friendly place. It's the town is cool, coastal, far from ordinary. We need to stick to that. We need to figure out ways to attract local businesses, encourage, chef owned restaurants, locally owned places, and really try to preserve the areas that we can of the beautiful, the natural environment that we have.
What makes Kevin Phillips the better choice in this election?
So, and again, like I said, try not to, I don't want to make you said, this isn't personal. Again, it's a job interview. And the people are the boss. I said that at our forum. And so really, I just, speaking about me and what I can tell you and what I can tell the listeners, and I can tell the people of Port Royal that are watching, is for the past 4 years, it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to represent you. I've done the best job I can. Again, my promise was active and engaged leadership. And I think I can say proudly that I'm successful in that. People know where I'm at. They know I'm accessible. They can reach out to me. They see me. They know me. And I think that's really important. And one of the great things about local politics is that you can say, hey, I got a problem. I'll call the mayor. I got a problem. I can call my council member, and they know you by name. They can help you out. I've been doing that for 4 years. And as your mayor, that is exactly what I'm going to continue to do, is to be always present, always accountable, always accessible. I'm going to be your voice. There's no I in team. And in a Port Royal, we're a team. There's a council, there's a staff, and then there's the residents. And, we all work together for the best of the town. I'm going to do that and collaborate with everybody and really, listen to the voice of the people and pursue their ideas, their thoughts, and their visions, for the town going forward.
Really glad to hear that, Kevin. I mean, I remember when you were contemplating running for office, and I knew then, I said, this guy's he's got it. And a lot of people wonder, well, what is it? Well, when a fellow political figure has it or doesn't have it. And knowing, I mean, this channel, myself and this channel and whatever, we have always said that, the key to this is that we elected officials are the representative. And you just said this, we are the representatives of the people. We're not the representatives of the government. And those who fall into the second part of that, who flip somehow, that's where things go awry. So I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm not surprised. I knew you had that in you. Since you've been serving, since you've been serving the people of Port Royal, what is, if you could come up with the number one most proudest accomplishment, and that could be, hey, I had all the stop signs painted for all, and if that's it, that's it. Yeah. But what is your most proudest thing, the accomplishment that you were a part of, or that you had some kind of direction in?
So one thing that I think was great is Port Royal took a really bold step and issued we tightened up our tree ordinance. We recognize that the live oaks and some of the trees and the natural beauty that we have in Port Royal is very rare. I mean, we've got trees that are hundreds of years old, and so we really got in there and we strengthened that up, and we really listened. And that was coming from the people. They were seeing some of these trees just get chopped down and really quickly, really easily, no discussion about it. And so we stepped up. We did something bold. We put together something that really turned some heads. And I think that was great. In this really fast-paced world that we're moving, sometimes you just gotta it's okay to be bold and dream big. That's sometimes that's the best. So that would be it. That's probably the most. I would also say just really proud of the fact that we've grown the tax base for the 4 years that I've been there, attracted businesses that we've had. We have grown the tax base. We've never raised our millage rate over 4 years that I've been on. And we've been able to provide great service to the town. I mean, there's things we can always get better at, but we've expanded to sidewalks in the town. We're about to repave the roads that the town owns. So those are some good, just quality of life things that we've done. But the big overarching picture that, like I said, is just the moves that we've made to stand up and protect the natural resources that we have in Port Royal.
Cool. A lot of our listeners from time to time will chime in and ask questions, and we have one coming in from your neck of the woods. Julianne, can anything be done to prevent the build-to-rent homes by beach development on the riverfront?
I believe there can be. Absolutely. So, right now you've got to understand the situation as it is that, Safe Harbor is the entity that owns the property. Their business is marinas. They're focused on the marina. That's what they want to build. That's what the business they do. They have never built a neighborhood in their life. They don't know anything about that. So they're trying to contract with the beach company. They are not under contract with them yet. So there's nothing final that's been set. There's nothing that's in stone with that. That is just kind of what they're pursuing at the moment. We've got to make it, and we had an executive session with them recently, and we made it very clear and abundant that the town is not behind this plan. The town is going to fight you on this plan, and that we have got to we got to figure out another way on this. Hopefully they listen. But really the key to this is just, we've got to stay diligent on it. We've got to communicate with communicate with the citizens, be more transparent about the process of what's going on. And I think that ultimately, I think if we do it right, I am optimistic that Safe Harbor will abandon that plan and move into something that really kind of follows more the vision of the development agreement that we have, and something that goes more with the Port Royal's culture and Port Royal's, what it already has as far as its architecture and its layout. I'm confident that we can get them to do that. It's just going to take people that, we're going to have to stand up to them when we need to. We're going to have to hold them accountable, and we're going to have to keep the citizens engaged in the process.
Surprise question here, and this is basically because I just don't understand a whole lot about this, not living over there, but I read about it a lot. In a Reader's Digest version, is the city of Beaufort really trying to take Rebo Road down to 2 lanes? And if that's a yes, would that not put a huge, like a choke point on one end, which would be your front door?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, but it seems from somebody who doesn't know.
Yep. So that's Beaufort County is doing that. And
the county. Okay.
Sorry,
city.
Yep. Beaufort County's doing that. And they've put out this plan. They've started this process called Reimagine Rebo. And they came up and if you look, they just did a big revamp of Boundary Street, which runs through the city of Beaufort, put in a lot of, speed reducing mechanisms, medians, and a lot of beautification of that road as well. And they kind of want to do the same thing on Rebo. Rebo is one of the biggest, probably is the most traveled road. I mean, definitely by thousands in northern Beaufort County. It's basically how everybody that lives on Ladies Island gets to Bluffton. I mean, you go through Rebo Road to get to the Broad River Bridge. The first plan, again, it was kind of frustrating because, again, as we talked about the government not listening to the people, they came out and they had these public meetings. They had 2 of them. Yeah, they had 2 of them. Yeah, charrettes, they're more just like, smoke and mirror show. Because like they get up there and everybody and the people, the first one I went to, they had maps up and people could write on them and say, this, that. And then the next one you had stickers and you could put stickers on what you liked and didn't like. And then the last one, they finally unveiled the plan that they took all this information and they came up with the plan. And having gone to every single one of those meetings, I was like, that's exactly what you wanted to do at the very beginning. Like you didn't take any comments or any consideration from the people at all. And that's their plan that they're presenting. Now they're getting a lot of pushback. And so I think that they're going to go to the drawing board and rethink that because they don't have funding for it at the moment. They're going to come next year and ask for another penny, infrastructure penny. And I agree with you, Julian. And I like your raccoon there. I think they're going to go back to the drawing board because they're going to have to. I mean, the people are going to not vote for a penny tax to build stuff that no one likes or wants. And you're absolutely correct. If they make northern Rebo, if they push that to 2 lanes, yes, it's just going to push more people down into the Port Royal area and cause more congestion and traffic down there. So yes, you're correct, but they're listening. I went to talking about going to meetings and being present. I went to a City of Beaufort, their council meeting earlier this week, where the county was giving an update on the Reimagine Rebo plan, and it was packed. I mean, probably 100 people in the chambers. Nobody said anything positive about it. So I think they're getting the picture. So
good. Kevin, we're down to the wire. Less than a week to go until Election Day. We're going to have a big election night coverage right here Tuesday night.
Great.
What can people do to help you get elected next Tuesday?
Vote. All the signs in the yards are great and the people wearing T-shirts, I appreciate that. And that means more than anything. But if you don't go down there and push the button, that's what matters. In these local races, I really try to stress that to everybody. It's important because the numbers are, unfortunately, are usually low turnouts. We're in these off years. It's not a presidential race. It's not a midterm. There's no, big national draws on the ballot. But, we do have the school bond referendum that's on it. And then also, too, this mayor race and council races. So, the last mayor race in Port Royal was decided by 18 votes. So, that's it. That's how close they get. So I just tell everybody, make sure you vote. Make sure your family votes, your neighbors, just get everybody out there. If you need anything, please give me a call. And like I said, we got about 5 days left. So let's get this thing done, get it across the finish line.
Well, we'll be covering your race right here on Big Patriot Radio Network and Beaufort County's House of Cards. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Phillips, candidate for mayor of Port Royal.
Thank you very much, Mike. Absolutely, brother. It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you anytime, my friend.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. It is 5 minutes before the top of the hour.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
Now we have the other candidate for mayor in Port Royal coming on in a little while. I believe he's going to be at the bottom of the half hour, somewhere in there. That'll be Joe Devito. And we'll get to him once he gets settled in, etc. But first, I want to make sure we get this disclaimer out there to everyone. And again, thank you so much for those questions for Kevin. Hope you ask those same ones and even more of Joe when he gets on here. And then anything else you want to ask, please feel free, knock yourself out. Excuse me. We have had 5 of the 6 candidates running for a position in the town of Bluffton on the show over the last couple months. Candidate Bridget Frazier, nor her campaign has responded. Just checked my phone. Still don't have any response. No phone calls, texts, social media requests, or anything from her or her group to come on this program. We broke a story on the redevelopment of the old Pepper's Porch building and Deer Tongue building on the property that is being redeveloped by Ms. Frazier. Again, she's a current town councilwoman and current candidate for re-election. We broke that story several weeks ago. And she's redeveloping that into a restaurant. It's going to be called Ma Daisy's, and I'm sure I've had her food. It is wonderful, and I'm sure it'll be great. And also on the property will be a Gullah museum, also which I expect to be fantastic. Now she's not the sole person doing this. She does have a financial investor in this as well. The interesting thing about this entire deal, and we've said this before, but many folks have commented like, hey, I only caught part of that. Can you give me the whole story? So I hope you can, pay attention and rewind this if you need to. So here is the story. The interesting thing is this entire deal is about this deal. We discovered that Ms. Frazier applied to begin with a $70,000 grant from the ATAX Commission for bathrooms of the museum. Now, full stop right there. Before you say, well, it's a 501c3, it's a museum, they apply for that. They're okay. Let's look at the literal part of this. She's building a building. You can't have, excuse me, you can't get building permits without bathrooms in the building. As a matter of fact, you can't get building permits without ADA, that's Americans with Disabilities Act, compliant bathrooms. Well, so what, Mike? Well, you can't get bank financing without ADA compliant bathrooms on the blueprints. Every question that has been thrown up, the answer is you have to go into a project with bathrooms. Anything else, this is just shuck and jive. Okay, you can fool some. You've obviously fooled many in town, but you ain't fooling me. She was turned down by this request by the commission, the ATAX Commission, turned her down. She appealed to the town council, of which she sits, and was approved for the $70,000. Now, before you have an apoplectic shit fit, yes, she recused herself. But the problem there is this. It's the fine print, people. It's the fine print. When you are in politics and you recuse yourself, you need to know what the hell you're doing. And the laws of ethics in South Carolina that surround this say you have to leave the room. You cannot be present during voting. Not just, well, I didn't vote. No, that doesn't count. You have to not be present. You also, oddly enough, have to fill out paperwork that is to be filed with the ethics department or commission and kept on record of why you feel you need to recuse yourself. Same thing with abstaining, but that's a whole nother story. She did not recuse herself because she did not leave the room. Now, no, she did not vote on giving herself $70,000, but she was sitting there. Well, she didn't say a word. Well, that's probably pretty good. That would help make my point even easier. She was in the room. She's on council. They voted to give her the 70 grand. She also applied for somewhere around $350,000, and I'm just using round figures, in public tax dollars. The $70,000 was public tax dollars. That's your money, my money. Anybody that spent the night here in a hotel or bought a meal or anything like that, that's money that we spent, that they accumulated. Part of it goes to the state, part of it goes to the DMO. We'll talk about that in a minute. She asked for $350,000 to rebuild the Deer Tongue building. The Deer Tongue building, for those of you who know, understand that this building very hotly talked about whether it is or should be or shouldn't be considered a contributing structure. It has historical meaning and historical wealth to the town of Bluffton. That's the Deer Tongue building. A couple of interesting things here, so stay with me if you will, is that number one, Frazier was asked by one of the commissions, the HPC, Historic Preservation Commission. She was asked by the chairman during one of the readings of her application. Nothing like sweet tea on the throat. She was asked point blank, quote, if you have ever received public tax money for this project. Several times she was asked this, to which she answered succinctly and publicly, no. I repeat, she answered succinctly and publicly, no. Now, I would like for Ms. Frazier to explain why she said no to receiving public tax dollars when she had at that time, if you look at the dates of the applications, at that time, it's on film, it's on video, it's time stamped. At that time, she had already received $70,000. If you have received $70,000 of public tax money that town council gave to you, why did you tell Chairman Bruce Trimble, no, I have not received public tax money? Why? Please explain. Please explain. I would love to hear that. Now, someone has reached out, and I let this person go on and on, a little bit of banter until I decided I'd had enough and let her know that I knew she was part of the campaign, if you will. That the application has a 501c3. She didn't lie, she says. She didn't answer it falsely because the application was for the museum. Unfortunately, the problem with that lady, the application, the name on the application says Ma Daisy's Restaurant. It doesn't say the 501c3 name of the museum. It doesn't say that. It says Ma Daisy's Restaurant, which is a for-profit personal venture that is now asking for and received public tax money. So again, we've reached out. I wanted to speak to Ms. Frazier personally about this. No one has answered the phone yet. No one has called back yet. We did get someone who tried to step into this, and all of a sudden it was a big pile of shit for them, and they backed out quickly. But not Ms. Frazier. Number 2, she applied for public tax monies to rebuild the Deer Tongue building. Construction documents, building permit, again, I apologize, building permit documents, other documents made public all show that the owner, Councilwoman Frazier, was instructed to get a letter from a structural engineer certifying whether or not the Deer Tongue building, remember, there's a lot of argument of whether it should or shouldn't be a contributing structure, a historical figure, and it is historically knowledge-based in this community. Anyway, she had to get a structural engineer to certify whether or not the building could be moved, relocated. Now, the total distance would have been somewhere between 3 to 6 feet. I have reached out to several people to give me interpretations of the documents we have, and it's anywhere from 3 to 6 feet, which is strange because it should be, it's moved 5.7 feet. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's a whole nother argument. So she did that. She reached out, got a structural engineer. They did their job. They sent in the report. The report of the engineers, which we have a copy of, said not only is the building sound and structurally fit to be relocated, it should only take minor repairs once moved. Not only is it structurally sound to be removed, it should only take minor repairs once moved. Okay. Instead of moving the building, which she was instructed to do by the building documents certified by the structural engineer, Ms. Frazier decides to tear the building down. She hires a company out of Savannah called Repurpose Savannah to do the deconstruction. Now, this company, Repurpose Savannah, this is what they do. They specialize in removing, demolishing buildings piece by piece by piece because of historical value and value of materials. They take out the windows, the doors, the mantles, the flooring, the siding, everything that has value. People pay enormous amounts of money for old pieces of wood to make tabletops, to make all kinds of shit with. I mean, it's crazy. I've even spent money that I probably shouldn't have on old wood. Anyway, this company that she hired, Repurpose Savannah, Ms. Frazier's made statements about them coming in. She's made public statements about it. It's well documented. They came in and they've labeled wood, piece of wood by piece of wood by piece of wood by piece. She assured people that these things have been labeled. I'm sure they have. I don't doubt that one bit. And when you start looking into the company, as we did, the company, their business model is to do that work at either very little to no cost to you, okay? Little to no cost to you, because they make their money by selling the product they are demolishing. Obviously, some of what they demolish is worthless. That's part of doing business. But when you've got 100-year-old cherry or 100-year-old oak, 100-year-old pine that's been worn and is hard as a brick, and you've got 100-year-old handmade bricks, 100-year-old windows. I mean, you go on and on and on. This stuff adds up to unbelievable amounts of money. You can go on their website. You can go to the facility. They have a ton of this material from all over the place, and it's all labeled different places for purchase. Now, let me say, I'm not saying that's what's happening here. I'm not saying that. But I took a little drive down to Pepper's Porch, my Daisy's restaurant area, and there's a blue fence, that Shoreline Construction has up, surrounding the property. I peeked in there. There's a bulldozer or something, backhoe. It's all cleared. I don't see any wood. I didn't see any windows. Went around back. There's offices over here and all kind of different little businesses and whatever, restaurant, and attorneys, and a book thing, or I don't know. No windows back there. No wood planks, no siding, no nothing. So where is all the stuff? I'm waiting for somebody to say, well, they took it to Savannah to store it. Really? I may have to make a trip to Savannah. You see, this blank piece of land, nothing behind it, nothing on adjoining properties, no remnants of the Deer Tongue building anywhere. It's gone. Why is that? If you were going to save it, why could you put it in a storage building on site? Anyway, that leads us to the next question. If there was a building permit issued, which there was, why is the owner now asking for more public funds, the $350,000, to rebuild the Deer Tongue building? Again, I've built many houses. You never get the loan if you don't have complete and proper documents. You don't go into getting the loan with half-assed documents. They started building, deconstructing, that's part of the building permit. But she's got to go find $350,000 to build it back. Come on. Come on. I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. If she is being honest and forthwith, why didn't she move the building to avoid this waste of spending? There are multiple questions here, multiple levels of this. Why are you asking for $350,000 to rebuild it when you could have moved it? It would not have cost $350,000. We checked that out too. Not even close to it. Why did you do that? Structural engineer said it was okay to move. Are you smarter than a structural engineer? If so, tell us how. Where's the building? Where are the materials? Did you let them sell it to keep your costs down? I don't know. There's a whole lot of questions with this. Ms. Frazier's publicly, again, she's told the HPC Commission Chair, Bruce Trimble, that no public monies have been used. Why were you not honest? Why? Maybe I should ask, were you being honest with Commission Chair Trimble? I'm speaking to you directly, Ms. Frazier. Were you being honest when you had already received $70,000? Were you being honest when he asked you, have you received any public monies? And you said no. Do you not consider $70,000 that Bluffton Town Council approved to give you? Do you not consider that public tax dollar? Because if you don't, that tells us everything we need to know, because it is. So let me ask you that again. Were you, or have you been honest with the HPC? Have you been honest with town council members? But most importantly, have you been honest with the public? Can you look us in the eye and tell us you've been honest about this? Recently, well, now it's been several weeks ago, current Mayor Solka penned an article in the Bluffton Today about, was talking about an article talking about A-tax monies in the town and how they are being spent. Now, funny thing is, this latest lady who decided to get in the middle of this swears that it operates one way. And I was like, lady, Do you not know I was on county council? I mean, I have been involved in this for a multitude of years. And even your mayor wrote an article about it and is refuting everything you're saying. But anyway, Mayor Salko penned an article about A-tax monies. It's a good point in time to tell you, well, the question is, what is A-tax? You'll hear politicos talk about A-tax, which is accommodation taxes, and H-tax, which is hospitality taxes. Excuse me. Accommodation taxes from funds for overnight stays in each locality is an A-tax. 2% is collected and remitted to the state, and 3% is collected and remitted to each municipality or county. So basically, the first $25,000 and 5% of the balance collected is allocated to each general fund, whether it's the municipality or the county. 30% of the balance must be allocated to one or more DMOs, that's designated marketing organizations. The remaining balance, which is math majors, where are we? 65% of the total must be used for tourism-related expenditures. There is commissions set up in every county and every municipality. These commissions are set up to go over the applicants and the applications. All of them have strict criteria. The criteria must be met, and it allegedly should remain as nonprofit centers. Restaurants, and I don't know of any nonprofit restaurants out there, they're not included. For-profit centers are not included. Now, back to E-taxes. Ms. Frazier received, according to Mayor Salko and the article, she received $175,000 for the Bluffton Gullah Cultural Heritage Center. Parentheses, renovation of Deer Tongue building, in parentheses. We just talked about that. We just finished talking about it, and now we have another $175,000 of public tax money going to the renovation of the Deer Tongue building. Well, wait a minute, Mike. It says, you just said Bluffton Gullah Cultural Heritage Center. That's where this little bit of information that I had to let that lady know about. The application says Ma Daisy's Restaurant. It doesn't say Bluffton Gullah Cultural Heritage Center. If you're going to play the game, know the friggin' rules or stay home. Okay? Put your big boy panties on, put your big girl panties on, and play the rules of the game or sit on the sideline. So somebody tell me, if this is not using public tax money for personal gain, then what is it? There's no answer. I'll give you all night because there'll be no answer when I come back. Is it personal gain or private use? And then, of course, she got the $70,000 for the bathrooms of the same building. Again, for the math majors, tell me what's the total? That's $250,000 of your and my and anybody else hard-earned tax dollars going to a private entity that was told it didn't need to be torn down by a structural engineer in the first place. This story, and by the way, our next guest has arrived. He is in the green room getting a refreshment with some nice ice cold water and other refreshments. We'll get to him here shortly. This story has been hidden. If it hasn't been for this outlet, and now there's another one that's picking this up. We talked to them this week. You wouldn't know about it. It would be shoved under the rug. Because that's how business has been done. Then we find out. Oh, yeah, there's more. Ms. Frazier applied for A-tax monies and was awarded another $21,836 for something called Blackwoody, South Carolina Roots and River Festival. Public money. Listen to me a second here. Public tax dollar money for something called Blackwoody, South Carolina Roots and River Festival. I don't care about the Blackwoody, South Carolina Roots and River Festival. That's fine. I probably support that to begin with. But public tax money to a group that self-identifies as only catering to one race? Okay. So my question is going to be to the town of Bluffton, when you get the application for the Latino equity request and the white equity request and the Asian equity request, if you don't cut them a check, you are going to be in for the lawsuit of your life, because you are giving public tax money to, you already did, it's done now. You gave public tax money to a group that is catering, self-centering on one race only. The same would be if you did it for something called Latino equity. You better give it to black equity, white equity, Asian equity, whatever other equity. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying to this, where I'm going with this? The town of Bluffton is in a shitstorm right now. At the head of that storm is a sitting councilwoman. Her fingerprints have allegedly been on so many levels of this. Something's got to give. Something's got to go. This will not continue to stand. Anyway, I smell a rat somewhere, and the cheese is rotten. I've said that before. With that info, finally, like I said, someone did decide to speak to us. And did they do it honestly and transparently? Shit, no. I'm not going to call them out. That's not cool. That's not fair. That's not what you do. They know who they are, and I see she's watching. They're just the pawn of the campaign. That's okay. She reached out to me, not as a member of the candidates team, but I finally let her know that I know you're a member of the team. Her input a few times has been that Ms. Frazier's action are perfectly legitimate. Because this was a matching grant, not holdout money. False. That is false. Anyway, I advised her, this lady, and the general public that I knew she was a part of the Frazier campaign, and her attempts are still not accurate. She's still beating that. She's still beating that horn, but that's she's going to do this. She's backed herself into a hole, and now her leftist, the liberal left in her has come out, and she said, "Well, I'm just not going to talk to you because it's futile." I know. Let me tell you, this race and every municipal race in this area in the state, as far as I know, is nonpartisan. However, candidates like this, candidate Frazier, are as partisan as it gets. They attract apologists and those that cannot gain traction in any other venue. Let me tell you, she's been vocal over the years, and she cannot stand anyone who has any inkling of conservatism in their blood. And it's actually known throughout town, except that people don't want to talk to about it, because she will shun them. She will shun them. She will blackmail or blackball you, as she has and blocked you. She'll block you. She blocked me. Which is funny because there are things going before Congress right now, making it a federal crime for political bodies, politically elected officials that would block people on social media. That's about to become a federal crime. Frazier, you might want to rethink that, my dear. Because again, I smell a rat, and the cheese from my daisies, I don't know. That cheese ain't smelling good right now.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
And it is 25 minutes past the hour. That's right, Gail. The good old boys, now girls club. It has to stop. You are exactly right. So let's, and don't forget, you can bring your comment. Thank you, Ivy. Bobby says vote no to the school bond referendum. I'd like to hear from anybody else that yes, no, maybe, otherwise, whatever. Put your comments on your chat room there, however you're watching us, and we'll get them on the screen. So anyway, our next guest coming in, I want to welcome to the program candidate for mayor of Port Royal, and he is the current mayor of Port Royal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Joe Devito. Mayor Devito.
Good evening, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Got a little thing going here. It's not puberty. It is something going on, but man, it's good to see you. You're looking good, Mayor. Thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Appreciate you reaching out to me, Mike.
Absolutely. Joe, let's just jump right into it. Again, appreciate you being here. It's been a while since you and I have had the opportunity to talk one-on-one. I hope you've been well, sir.
I have. I appreciate you asking. I guess it's been probably at least 2 years since we've run into each other face to face. You know, there's that COVID thing in there that kind of ruined all our abilities to kind of see each other for a while. And you kind of, was it before or after COVID?
That's right. COVID is, I had it again. I had it last week.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. Now I don't know what this is, but that is a stain that is on all of our lives and cannot go away fast enough. But I'm glad to see you look good, healthy. I want to get right into it. Get a big election coming up here in about 5 days or so. Tell everybody, if you don't know who Joe Devito is, like I know who Joe Devito is, tell us all, who is Joe Devito, something about you, your personal life, and what's going on.
Yeah. So who is Joe Devito? Joe Devito is a guy who moved to the Beaufort County area and specifically the town of Port Royal in 1986. So I have been here for a long time. I have raised my family in the same house we purchased in the late 80s in the town of Port Royal. I have two boys. They both still live in the community. One of them is a business owner, and the other one is a chef in a restaurant. So I'm proud to have my family close to me. I'm still married to my same wonderful wife. We just celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary. So that was we were real happy with that. I was a commercial plumber from New York City who decided that New York was not the life my wife and I wanted when we decided to have children. And we found God's country because luckily her brother had moved a business down into the industrial park in Beaufort County. And we came down visiting, thought it was wonderful. And I'm literally the story of I was sitting on the Long Island Expressway in stop and go traffic and said, this is not for me. I know a better place.
I gotcha.
Back then, it was kind of one of those conversations. Everybody needs a bathroom. I can do my job anywhere. I'm going to pick up and move. And I did. After we moved here, I did have the great opportunity to go to work for the city of Beaufort, the municipality, in the utilities department, working the water and sewer side. I was working my way up. I was superintendent. Then I was the utilities director. At the time, we decided to merge with the Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority. So I became part of that merger and ended up doing a full 30-year career with Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority, working with all the municipalities in Beaufort County because we served the water and sewer for all of those. So it was a wonderful career, worked with some great people, great team members. But at the end of 30 years, I decided to retire and go into the private area, the public area for a while. And I work for a corporation now, still in the water and sewer industry to do so. But my entire life, for the last 25 years, it's all been about public service, but mostly, through the job and through volunteer. Boards, commissions, you name it, I've sat on it. Planning Commission, the Tax Commission, South Carolina 811. If anybody knows, that's the call you make to protect that underground infrastructure. I was the first water and sewer president of that commission that ever existed. Before that, it was always run by the power companies or the cable, the telephone companies. I was lucky enough, they voted me into president, served them for 9 years as their president. But after I retired and timed out on just about every commission I could be on, I realized I was missing public service. A number of people had asked me to run. So 4 years ago, I decided to run for mayor of Port Royal. I was elected. Has been the pleasure of my life and been just a joy to be able to do this and to give back to my community, because that is the only reason I ran. I have no aspirations. This is not a stepping stone. This is nothing else. This is taking a lifelong journey of collecting information, bringing stuff together and say, I want to give back one more time. And I'm giving back by running for mayor and running for a second term.
Outstanding. Joe, as you said, you've served the citizens of Port Royal now for 4 years as mayor. What is it, or why do you want to continue representing the people of Port Royal in what can be considered as a very tough job as mayor?
Yeah, so two things. One, as yourself, who has been an elected official, there is a momentum that occurs. And first of all, I believe in term limits. Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? That's a number each of us have to decide on their own. I committed to the citizens of Port Royal I would give them 2 terms, that I would make sure that we put things in place and then we kept that ball rolling. And at the same time, I wanted for citizens to understand that there was an end to this. And if you're interested in politics, come join our meetings, meet me, understand. Let's get those common goals. Let's understand what can happen so we can move forward. I also do feel like we talked about earlier, that thing called COVID. I lost about 18 months of that first 4-year journey. We did great things during that. We kept the town running. We were able to meet the needs of the citizens, but we weren't able to move the needle in the beginning. And now we really have moved that needle, and we're putting things in place. Things are moving in a very positive direction, and I want to keep that going for another 4 years.
Joe, when you, if you don't mind me calling you Joe, Mr. Mayor.
Joe is what I go by.
Okay. When you talk about Port Royal, there's 2 questions that come right to mind that I've asked whether it's Port Royal, the city of Beaufort, or Bluffton. I've talked to them all. One of those is, what is right about Port Royal?
What is right about Port Royal? Wow. So I'm going to start with the Port Royal slogan: cool, coastal, far from ordinary. That is our town motto. What is right about Port Royal is a community of single family residents, is the body of the town, and the subdivisions that have joined us that are all extremely walkable, friendly, connected with their neighbors. It's about the citizens helping each other, coming together. We are, in a lot of ways, the bedroom community to the city of Beaufort and Beaufort County, where we don't have a lot of businesses. What we have is citizens and people, and that's what's great about Port Royal. Of course, we have, like all the cities have, the amazing water views, the outside activities, and all that stuff that comes into play. But what we truly have is the neighborhoods and the connection of the people, and willing to help each other, willing to come out and do things together. We're the festival town. We're kind of known as the festival town. We took our streets out of the state system so that we could put festivals on our streets without having to go through all the crazy requirements that the state kind of put into place. And that's the reason for that, because that brings people out of their homes, puts them into the street, and you get to know your neighbors. We have 8 street concerts every single year, 4 in the spring, 4 in the fall, no cost. Anybody can come. We have many Bluffton, Sun City, Hilton Head people, Charleston people that drive into town for these concerts. We're proud to put these on, and the citizens that pay taxes in Port Royal are proud to support that and want to keep those going.
The best blue crabs I've ever had continually happen to come right out of downtown Port Royal, I have to say. In the same breath as that question, though, you have to be fair to say also, what is wrong about Port Royal?
What is wrong about Port Royal, Mike? Well, first thing that I would say is we have the thoroughfare to Ladies Island through the middle of our town. So we don't have the advantage of having our town kind of on the outskirts of the main roads or an area off of that. It literally runs through the center of our town. Ribault Road runs right through the center of the heart of Port Royal. Obviously, our neighborhoods that are out on the externals, they're separated from those main roads. But we have Ribault Road that runs right through the middle, 33,000 cars a day that do nothing but speed through our town. And that's wrong. And we have to find a way to gain some control over that and to bring it to the point that such a valuable real estate, which is the commercial property on each side of Ribault Road, can be used for commercial property, but businesses are afraid to go there because the cars just go through so fast and they won't stop. They're too busy traveling home or going to work, and we have to find that balance. So that's one of the things that's wrong with Port Royal.
Okay. Let me ask you, and I was going to actually bring this up at the very end, as I did with Councilman Phillips was on earlier this evening. I asked all of you all the same exact questions. Mm-hmm. And I asked him when I'm getting ready to ask you, but I did it at a different time. But you mentioned Ribault Road. Now, I not living there, I don't follow the feel of Ribault Road and this reimagined baloney that I'm hearing. But and here's my question, since you brought up Ribault Road. From someone who doesn't live and drive that every single day, when I do look at what I'm hearing the county, and I thought it was the city at first, but he corrected me, it is the county. What I'm hearing and what I'm imagining is they're going to turn that into, or they want to turn that into 2 lanes. To me, the uneducated outlier, that tells me that there's a huge choke right at the doorstep of Port Royal, which to me, that would be devastating, I think. Am I completely wrong, or is this a good thing, what they're trying to do?
Is it a good thing? First of all, we don't have enough data to say it is. On the surface, looking at it, the answer is no, it's not a good thing. Just looking at it. And let's describe again, make sure that we're, I'm factual based. I'm straight answers every single time. So I don't want to play with people's emotions. I want to play with facts. The section of the road that they're narrowing is from Boundary Street to just short of the hospital, all in the city of Beaufort. Okay, almost a mile from the beginning of Port Royal. It is in that section that the road was going to be narrowed, traffic circles, all right up to the hospital, and then it was going to widen back out to the 4 lanes. And all through Port Royal, it was going to be 4 lanes. The question really becomes, does the traffic patterns dictate that if you narrow that, people are going to go all the way around, which is about 8.5 miles, to travel on the 4-lane road and push more cars through Port Royal than before? Or are people that are going up Ribault Road think, well, it's 2 lanes up there. I don't want to go that far and go over the McTier Bridge and go to Ladies Island and then try to cut back through the city. So, and there are educated, there are very good traffic models that can show all this and show what will it do now, what will it do in 10 years, what will it do in 20 years. And until somebody gives me that data, it's a no. It's a no-go right now. Do not look at narrowing. Now, my question is, and I didn't get heavily into it because it's really in the city of Beaufort section, and I am respectful to my sister city and let them manage their city, and I wouldn't want them to come in and tell me how to manage mine. Whose idea was this? Where did it come from? Who originated this thought? The citizens of the city of Beaufort have come out in drones to say that they don't like the idea. The hospital has said that they don't like the idea, and I believe the county's going to readdress that idea.
Awesome.
That is great. Our section has its own unique problems, and we need to focus on our section and make sure we get a road. The other thing I told the county when they first said, because we went to them and said, we need to fix Reboat Road. This is a regional problem. The town of Port Royal should not financially fund fixing Reboat Road through Port Royal for cars to get to Ladies Island, St. Helena. That is a regional issue. How can we bring regional dollars to this? Obviously, if a transportation tax or 1 cent sales tax or lost or any of those things, we wanted this as a viable project. We spent money doing traffic studies. We had engineering studies to fix that. And the county turned around and said, listen, we agree. It's a regional. You're right, Joe, Mayor Joe, you're correct. We'll look at that. They expanded it to the entire Reboat Road. That was not a request by us. That was something that they did. They believed that regionally the whole thing needed to be looked at. Well, we got to get it focused back in and make sure Port Royal is done right and what happens in Port Royal.
Well, I certainly hope, as someone who has sat on that side of the fence, I certainly hope they take the feelings of the citizens of Port Royal and what you all bring to the table as a full council. I hope they take that seriously and earnestly because it's important. A lot of the folks watching tonight, Joe, we have a lot of folks online. We've had over 150 folks, and we'll top out at about 250 or so before we're done.
Great.
A lot from Port Royal. And we'll have over 500 to 600, maybe more, that'll watch this on a tape delay over the next 24 hours. We ask our viewers every week to give us feedback. Let us know what questions you have. We have a question right here I'll put on the screen from Julianne. Joe, what is the possibility of Safe Harbor meeting their deadlines for development of the port as written in the agreement? What is your plan if it seems impossible to meet those deadlines by January 1st? How are you going to deal with that? Who's been holding them accountable? Who is monitoring, et cetera? I think you see what her.
Yeah. Okay, so the issue of deadlines is an interesting statement. There are really no hard, fast deadlines. There in the development agreement and in the PUD, there are approximate construction timelines. None of them are going to be met. Let's just start with that. It's just a reality. People always believe that they can do things faster than they honestly can. And there are a number of reasons why that occurs. They do have to update those timelines, and they have been doing that and updating that. The bigger concern with the port is not meeting with the port redevelopment and Safe Harbor, not meeting the deadlines. There were a few hard deadlines. They met all of those already. There isn't really another hard deadline in target now until much further into the DA, nothing coming up this January, as suggested. But what really is what they're proposing doesn't fit the fabric of the town of Port Royal. And we have to work with them to bring that in line and make sure. They have to remember kind of the opening statement of the one piece that they're trying to develop right now, which is the Bluff neighborhood. And the opening statement in that PUD is that this single family residence should fit the fabric and the nature of Port Royal. That's summarizing a little bit. It's not the exact words, but it really summarizes. And so far, what they have submitted in conceptual plans, no permits have been requested, doesn't meet that. So we brought them to the table, and we met with them in an executive session, and we updated exactly what it is that our concerns, that the citizen concerns are, and asked them, why is only one developer looking at this property? It's a very valuable piece of property. Let's bring some other developers to the table and see if there isn't something else, to use their words, not mine, can pencil for you and make this a viable project. And you know what I mean by pencil, make money. That's ultimately what you're meaning. Right now, they only have one person looking at it. We hope to be able to open up that view a little bit and get more to do that. We're ready to hold their feet to the fire. We have some tools in our toolbox to do that. And when the right time comes, we'll implement those tools.
She also asked, what about pedestrian bridges on Rebo? Is that something that's out there, or is this a new thing?
Well, so pedestrian bridges is something that was looked at very hard by myself and a group of people about 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And the pedestrian bridge really the first one would have been where the Spanish Moss Trail was projected to cross Rebo Road. We looked at very hard, could that be done in a pedestrian bridge? It did not work out there was engineering reasons why it didn't work out, and then obviously cost reasons. Surface crossing, under $1 million, above crossing, bridge crossing, $3-4 million. Who's going to fund that? Where are you going to get that? If that's the right choice, we go after it. We try to figure out. But there was some engineering differences that wouldn't allow it, because there's also going to be a road in that area, and you couldn't do the road and the bridge. I think Beaufort County as a whole, I think we're starting to get to the point that somewhere in the county, we're going to see our first pedestrian bridge in the next 10 to 15 years. Not sure where that's going to be, but we're getting to that point that everybody's starting to understand we're a walking outdoor community, and we have to do it in a way that is safe as possible. Pedestrian bridges are a great option to make that happen. Gotcha.
Understood. Another question, Joanne Orshak, good to see you here. Well, thank you. You are welcome. Thank you. Appreciate this kind comments.
I thank you as well, Mike, and I thank all the Port Royal residents that are watching. Hello.
Absolutely. Mayor, when you look through the Mayor Devito crystal ball, what do you see Port Royal being in 5 years?
5 year. Well, as you well know, that's a short timeline in the life of a city. We're coming up to our 150-year celebration this year. This is just a blip in that timeline. But in 5 years, one of the things I see is us having a really good capital project program in place. It's something that we were missing. We've worked very hard in the last 4 years. We've started that process. So what is it that the citizens want? What do they want to maintain? What do they want to add to the city? And having that program in place is one of the things that's so important. I see us completing a lot more sidewalks. We did 1 mile of sidewalks this past year. Can we do 5 miles in 5 years? What a goal. What a goal that would be, to add five miles of sidewalks in 5 years. But I see us moving forward and doing more with that. I see us developing the Sands Beach Park in 5 years. If you don't know what I mean by that, if you've ever been, anybody who's ever been to the Sands Beach, the left-hand side of that road was private property up till a year ago, when we were able to work out, and I was heavily involved in working out a deal with Safe Harbor to swap that property with a piece of property that we had internally to their project, to say, we want to protect this, we want to make this a park. And they agreed that there was a reason to do that, and they did that, and they gave it to us at no cost with just a straight swap. So now we're going to put that and develop that into a world-class park with that, and then the Sands Beach and the boat landing and the boardwalk and the tower all being hooked together with some walking trails and biking trail to the Spanish Moss Trail, so that you can just go for a ride and end up at a beautiful place in Port Royal.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I have a resident of Port Royal has asked me, sent me a message referencing there, apparently, and I don't know what this is, but apparently there's been some complaints about management of the town as of late. Is that an issue that you could expand on, whatever complaints about management in the town?
It's a pretty open-ended statement, but I'll try to figure out what the person is saying. And I would say that comes down to, again, what's happening at Safe Harbor, because that's the issue that's come out. And because it's an election year, it may have been blown up in ways and things being said because of what's happening right now in 5 days with an election. There has been some accusations that I have the authority to sell the town. Mike, you've been a council member. I have the authority to do nothing. Yes, I've sold out to Safe Harbor. I've given them whatever they want. I let them do whatever they want. You've been an elected official. I am 1/5 of a vote. Nothing. I am also classified as a weak mayor in the way that the South Carolina structure is laid out. A town manager runs the town. The town council sets goals and objectives. We have one employee, he's the town manager. There is really no issues in the way the town's being managed. We have a great staff, wonderful staff. They do a really good job with what they have. We have a fantastic town council. Before the one member said that he was running, I would have said that all 5 of us were coming back. We have voted the same on everything except for one item for 4 straight years. There's never been any arguments, never been any disagreements, never been any kind of, hey, I think we're better to do this. So I think the management of the town has done very well. I think there's a perception because of what's happening at Safe Harbor, there's issues, but you really have to go back and you have to look at everything. You have to look at all the votes. You have to look at what we've done and where they really are in developing, which is only conceptual. And Mike, as you know, a lot of people throw things across the bow to see if it'll grab. Hey, what they proposed isn't grab and hold, and they got to go back to the drawing board.
Your Councilman Phillips was on earlier, your colleague, and he was, what I'm getting ready to ask you, he was adamant in responding to me that this race is not personal. And this is one race that was the furthest thing from my mind to begin with. But I want to ask you, like I asked him, what makes you the better choice in this election?
There's 2 things. I think there's 2 things. I think I'll start with, I'm doing it for the one reason and the one reason only. I'm doing it for the town of Port Royal. My opponent or the person who's challenging me may have future plans, may have other aspirations. I've committed to a certain number of years that I'm going to do that. The second is I offer true leadership. I offer proven leadership. I'm a vocal person. People know how I feel. I am straightforward. I am honest with all of my answers, and I am factually based. So I have sat up there for 4 years, and I have offered what I believe is different options and different ways of doing things, different ways to meet goals, different growths to get there. But ultimately, it's the 5 of us that have made every one of those decisions. All I try to do is lead through conversation and to bring things. I'm the better choice because I'm willing to put myself out there, because it doesn't matter what it looks like to me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm retiring on my front porch in the town of Port Royal in possibly 4 more years. We'll see what happens at the end of that. I've always said 2 terms. People say, stop saying that. You're too damn good at what you do. We may want you more. But I can tell you that it would be a strong conversation to go beyond 2 terms for me. And I'm going to finish what I committed to, which was 2 terms.
Well, term limits is a good thing, and I agree with you.
Absolutely.
I want to be cognizant of your time, and we're running close to it. Couple of real quick things. Since serving the people of Port Royal, if you were to look back, if you could find one thing that made you the most proud, the biggest accomplishment that you had a hand in doing for the citizens of Port Royal, what would that have been? Or what is it?
Can I give you a soft and a hard, Mike? Can I give you 2?
It's your show, brother.
Okay, so let's talk. It's your show. You invited me, but thank you for that. Let's talk hard. Let's talk a hard item. We're paving all of the streets in town of Port Royal without raising the millage. Never been done. We've owned these streets for almost 30 years with no funding source in place to fix them, and they're reaching critical failure. And we were able to find, because I never stopped pushing staff, try this way to find funding, try this way, local option, sales tax, CT, tag fees, keep going, keep going. Have you seen the interest rate lately? It died. Can we go to the, no, this was back when we did it. Can we go to the bond market now? Reached out to the attorney. He said, now, we got to do it. We got to do it fast. And we did it without raising the millage. I am proud of that, because as you know, infrastructure, R&R can be so difficult. And we were able to do exactly what we said we can do. And then on the soft side, I mentioned the soft side. I ran against an incumbent who had, when it was all said and done, was going to be sitting next to me as a council member. Okay. Her term was not up when she ran for mayor. So win or lose, she was still going to be on council. And we ran against each other, a strong race. Again, not personal, okay, on factual, on leadership, on skills. And within 2 months of after being elected, we worked together like we've been colleagues for years. And we have worked together for 4 years. And the entire council has worked together in unison and had open conversations about all the subjects that were needed to be talked about. All somebody had to do was bring it forward. If they had brought it forward, we would have talked about it. But it appears not everybody did to the last minute. But I am proud of the fact that you can run against somebody and then work so closely with them so quickly.
Absolutely. All right, final thing. We're down to the wire. 5 days or so left until Election Day. What can people do to help you get elected to the mayor's spot again next Tuesday?
Well, obviously, what can people do is come out and vote for Joe DeVito. The second thing is there's a mayor's Facebook page, Joe DeVito for Mayor of Port Royal. Please go find it, share it, like it, set it out there. There are a dozen videos that talks about everything that's going on in the town. Go back if you don't know where you stand right now. Listen to them, watch them, and call me. My phone number's on there as well if you have a question. The one thing I ask is don't assume what you've heard is factual. You want a fact? You can get it from me each and every time.
All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Joe DeVito, current mayor running for re-election of the town of Port Royal. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, for coming on the show.
Mike, thanks so much. Good to see you again. Hopefully we run into each other.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. That is our two candidates for town of Port Royal mayor.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
All right. It is 3 minutes before the top of the hour. And again, Joanne, I really do appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. You've been a good friend for many years. Glad to have you on here. All right. Recently, we're running a little bit long tonight. Wow. Recently at a Charleston County School Board meeting, Charleston County resident Tara Wood got up to give a public comment. Her comment was about the continued battle of lewd and vulgar materials in their county public schools. She was a mom of, or she is a mom of kids up there. This is the same battle we've been waging here in Beaufort County for over a year now. Now, Tara, who we had hoped to have on the show, didn't work out. She didn't make it here, and that's okay, because she was, as you're going to see here shortly, she was verbally accosted during her public speaking 3 minutes that she's afforded, that you or anybody else is afforded in government setting. She was verbally accosted. She was verbally attacked. And since this, she has been threatened. That's right. She's been threatened. Now, the behavior of these people you're going to see on TV or your computer screen here in a second is a little bit worse than the behavior of some of the folks that we have at our county meetings, spearheaded by the iniquitous beast of Ladies Island and her miscreant imps of followers. But yes, I think that Charleston has outdone us. They've topped our local buffoons. I want you to take a look at her video. We'll cut right to it. This is sent to us. Let me see if I can find it here. This is sent to us by way of the Overton Report, so I want to thank them for that. So this is just a couple of minutes. I want you to pay attention, turn up the volume, and listen. This is Tara Wood at the Charleston County School Board meeting.
Wood, And I don't understand why there's such controversy over trying to protect children from sexually explicit materials and graphic material.
Give her her chance.
Okay, and listen to this, y'all. Nobody wants to ban books. If parents want their children to read certain books, they can get them on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, their public library. So our schools are supposed to be a safe place. So this is a book that is found in 13 of our schools in Charleston County. All Boys Aren't Blue. He asked me to turn over while he slipped the condom on himself. But this was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. And he was large, and I had previously taught someone who clearly enjoyed it, but he had been enjoying anal sex. He had been enjoying, hey.
Please order. She has what, 5 or 10 minutes, 10 seconds left. She has time left.
Go ahead.
Can I tell you something? Can you imagine if we
don't silence her.
Order.
Ms. Wood, have you made your point?
No, she still has time.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Really? 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 This is how y'all going to let everybody behave? Really?
So that was at the Charleston County School Board meeting, where a mom was trying to give her 3 minutes. And I don't care if you're doing what she was doing, or if you want to stand up there and count to 20 and say your ABCs backwards. You got 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever your particular town or county or whatever allows. You should let them do it. Julianne, matter of fact, the crowd is closed-minded. Absolutely. Hey, with that book, I sent a letter to the school board and the state superintendent, and I've quoted 4 different sections of the book. 4 different sections. If you can't get the context out of that, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Read the whole book. That's retarded, just ridiculous. Anyway, this behavior is horrible. Julianne just gave that comment. She was at a school board meeting and was verbally accosted. Similar to this. That's uncalled for. I've been to school board meetings. I've watched them on television or the computer. I've called in. Other people have spoken that I completely disagree with, and others disagree with. And never, this side, if we're going to have to say this side versus that side, this side has never, ever done anything disrespectful of their feelings. I may disagree with the iniquitous beast of Ladies Island and her miscreant imps and the day glow or whatever they are, or the Fab group. I may disagree wholeheartedly. Nothing they say makes sense. It's all trash. It's all vile. I have never disrespected them. They can't say that. These people in this video can't say that. Now, the book she was reading from is called All Boys Aren't Blue by George Johnson. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what? This book is in the Beaufort County school system. That's right. It was one of 97 that Ivy the Lie and I, who are the only complainants of registered, that have registered complaints over the last year with the Beaufort County school system. This book was one of them. It just got reviewed, got pulled and then reviewed just now. And they came back and said, it's perfectly fine to go back on all shelves of all 9th through 12th grade schools in the county. This book is enormously vile. Now, the review committee that reviewed this book, only 3 of the 7 had the balls to show up for the vote. Those 3 gave it glaring reviews and added it back to the shelves. Now, not even a quorum was met, but they allowed to go back on the school shelves. The school board has had their meeting of it, and they carte blanche the 8 of our school board who give carte blanche to the review committee, who we have told you over and over, they don't even show up in a quorum. But our school board, the 8, and we'll name them here in a minute, they just say whatever they say. Rubber stamp. That book, All Boys Aren't Blue, contains the following things: sadomasochism, abuse, rape, anal sex, masturbation, excretion in multiple forms, and more. It's been noted that this book, quote unquote, taken as a whole, does not have serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. That right there is interesting, as it leads with taken as a whole. That is a quote from the Utah Supreme Court. That same quote, ladies and gentlemen, taken as a whole, is the same cry that the people who think this stuff is credible for children to read claim we, the opponents, don't do, rather. Take it as a whole. Now, for that matter, in researching Utah state law, I came across the definitions and precedents concerning this, and this has been passed on to the South Carolina House of Representatives and to the Senate for inclusion into our own code of laws. Footnote, today, breaking news, today, I spoke with someone on the South Carolina House of Representatives Judiciary Committee that received my letter about this book and the Utah state law. Their response, let me get it because I don't want to misquote. I have received the letter and am appalled. Have asked staff to research the Utah law. That came from a South Carolina House member. It's not their fault that they aren't up on Utah law. I reached out to it and found it and dug into it and happened to find it. But the state of Utah reads this: pornographic material is defined as where the average person applying contemporary community standards finds that, taken as a whole, it appeals to prurient interest in sex. B, it is patently offensive in the description or depiction of nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, sadomasochism, abuse, and or excretion. And C, taken as a whole, it does not have serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Does this ring a bell? This book should be removed if you follow these guidelines. It's simple. But in Beaufort County, 8 of our 11 school board members have 0 spine. I'm talking 0. Now, we've got about 20 minutes left in the show. This is when you really want to amp up your neighbors and get them on here watching this, what we're getting ready to go do. I'm going to lead into it with the final thoughts on the school board. 8 of 11 of our school board members have 0 spine. They have no guts. They have no will to do the right thing. Rather, they continue to do what the loud, obnoxious, vile crowd calls for. That's what they do. That's what they rubber stamp. What really strikes me odd, Earl Campbell, William Smith, Carlton Dallas, Angela Middleton, Chloe Gordon, all members of the Black community should be up in arms over this type of bullshit that, ladies and gentlemen, that is destroying the Black community. It's destroying our children to begin with. But if you want to marginalize someone, you want to marginalize a community, this type of book, this type of literature is killing the Black community, and they're supporting it. This makes no frigging sense. They should be pissed beyond pissed about it, but they aren't. They aren't. Ask yourself, why aren't you?
Introducing to you. You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube. It's going down. Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right, better yet, ask them, why are you destroying our Black community, you 8? And you can add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of them. Go ahead and add Dick Geyer, Christina Guads. If that comes up to 8, whatever. Anyway, breaking news. We're rounding turn 4 here on this race. Breaking news of Beaufort County Public Schools. Not a teacher. I was corrected a minute ago. She is a employee of the Beaufort County Head Start program. She's been arrested on 3 charges. Been arrested on charges of 3rd-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. Beaufort Elementary Head Start teacher, worker, whatever. I thought she was a teacher, but she's a Head Start employee. 55-year-old Holly Hodges has been accused of possessing at least one picture or pictures of an underage child or children. Law enforcement officials have confirmed that they've received the complaint and began their investigation on or around October 31st, while Ms. Hodges was already incarcerated at the Beaufort County Detention Center from an earlier arrest. This is, bear with me for those of you who already know, an earlier arrest by Beaufort Police Department. For assault and battery. On Tuesday night, Beaufort County Sheriff's Department seized electronic devices belonging to Hodges, allegedly containing said photo or photos of a child or children. According to Detention Center public access records, Ms. Hodges was originally arrested earlier on the 31st. Total arrest. Her arrests are for totaling 5 counts of assault and battery. 5 counts of assault and battery in the 3rd degree, 1 count of resisting arrest, and 1 count of possession with and or intent to distribute of a class 1, and it looks like rohypnol. I guess that's what that is. I'm not a drug guy. Which, isn't that roofies? I think so. Now, breaking news on this. Late today, this outlet received a statement, and we believe this came from the school district, we believe, through another party. But it is an official statement. And it said the following. On October 31st, Beaufort Police Department contacted Ms. Hodges at her place of employment. She voluntarily responded to the Beaufort Police Department, where she was escorted to an interview room. Prior to any conversation starting, allegedly, Ms. Hodges began assaulting Beaufort City Police Department officers by biting and kicking them. By biting and kicking them. She was taken into custody, and a search incident to arrest revealed she was in possession of those drugs. Wow. Obviously, Ms. Hodges is innocent until proven guilty, but at last check, she remains incarcerated in the Beaufort County Detention Center. She does have bond dollars on her profile, So I guess bond's been set, it just hadn't been paid. This investigation is still ongoing. Obviously, we'll bring you more as it comes forward. There are conflicting addresses for Ms. Hodges, but it appears her last known address is in the Bluffton area. So she's innocent until proven guilty. But if it's true she was at the police station and bit and kicked 5 cops while having pictures on her, I'd say, lady, you're pretty well fucked.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go. Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
Next week, special show, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Mark it on your calendar. Special show next Tuesday, November 7th, election night. There'll be the 2nd annual Big Patriot Radio election night coverage right here from the Big Patriot Radio Network with the Overton Report's Corey Allen co-hosting with yours truly. We're going to be looking at elected official races all across South Carolina, specifically right here in our neck of the woods, along with different referendums from all over. We got referendums up and down the coast and in the Midlands and whatever. You're not going to want to miss this. Don't miss this special show. Don't miss it. Before we go, get ready to sign off. I'm going to go ahead and let's talk about the races. The only race that I will, I usually don't give an opinion, but I will on this one because of the importance, and that is the referendum race. My vote is a no vote. I hope everybody votes, and if you vote yes, that's your gig. I agree right here with Ivy. My opinion is no. I do not feel that the school system is in any position right now because of everything that is going on. We cannot trust our children. We can trust our children. We can't trust the buildings our children are in due to the lewd and vulgar material that our school board is allowing. We have people that have been, I don't want to say all, they've been accused, they've been arrested, they're going through the process. Like we just talked about with this Head Start teacher, there's been others. We've got teachers on Hilton Head that gave out surveys talking about pronouns and keeping secrets from mom and dads. I'm sorry. Until, well, the $500 million, it won't cost us a penny. You're not going to raise taxes. Look, I'm not stupid. It has to be paid for. But until you get your shit together, and that starts at the school board, right on down to Dr. Rodriguez and the district office, until they get their shit together, I'm a no. That is, that's just how it is. There's a lot of other reasons. The big one for me, though, is I can't trust them. I just can't. There are 3 on the school board that I trust. There are 8 that I don't trust. I know the school district superintendent. He's got ethics violations, accusations about hiring a former superintendent to do, $80,000 worth of work about the referendum. That, to me, I'm not the ethics committee, but it's a violation. It's a violation. You can't support or go against a referendum as an elected official or an appointed official. You cannot do that. That is ethically wrong. It happens all the time. All right. Don't miss the special show coming up Tuesday. It's going to be good. It's going to be crazy. You're definitely not going to want to miss this. We're going to have a good time. 7 o'clock on Tuesday when the polls close until election night, Tuesday night. I'm Mike Covert. Please stay safe out there. Good night, everybody.
they all know our name. The death punch sound is our claim to fame. And that's why they call me